Do you and your partner disagree about how much you communicate with each other? Does one person's desire to share more, either more frequently or more deeply, cause discomfort and conflict in your relationship? If so, this video will help you identify common problems around lack of communication and give you some ideas on how to solve it.
Our Relationship
with Dr. Brian Doss. Issues around lack of communication can have different forms. The frequency or depth of communication that each person is comfortable with will differ between partners, and many couples find it tricky to find a balance that's satisfying to both people. Oftentimes, one person feels alone from the lack of communication, while the other feels overwhelmed or even smothered. Couples struggling with lack of communication tend to experience one of two common cycles: either not talking often enough or avoiding deeper feelings. So I'm going to take those one at a time in this video. The first cycle I want to talk about is not talking often enough. When one of you wants to share everything and the other is more private, both members feel frustrated with the amount of frequency of communication. Regardless of your role in this cycle, I'm going to give you both of you tips on how to make it go better. So let's first start with the one who is always talking. If you're the one who always wants your partner to talk more, you might get really frustrated with your partner for not starting conversation, not checking in with you throughout the day, or just being preoccupied about something else. They just don't seem to prioritize communicating and sharing with you. Maybe you feel like you're doing your part, but your partner just doesn't respond. It feels like you're living with a stranger sometimes. If so, here are some tips for you to change these situations. 1. Schedule talk time. Rather than starting up important conversations as soon as they come into your mind or as soon as you see your partner at the end of the day, let your partner know that you'd like to plan a time to talk. Let your partner know, just briefly, what the topic's about so that you can both come back to the conversation ready to talk about it when both of you are at a good place. 2. Talk to somebody else. If you're a talker, an extrovert, or just love communicating and your partner doesn't, try to find other outlets for your love for connection. Chat with friends or family on the phone, or try to find a job or volunteer work that allows you to use your social side more. 3. Agree to a signal. You and your partner can work together to agree on a signal that indicates he or she is tired of talking and needs a break. The signal doesn't excuse him or her from the conversation. You should both agree on a time to come back to it. But taking a break can be helpful for both partners to clear their heads before coming back together to continue talking. But maybe you're on the other side of the cycle. You're the silent one. When you're the less talkative one in a couple, your partner's constant desire to share can be overwhelming and turn you off to talking about anything. The more they push you to talk, the more you withdraw. You want to know about the important stuff about your partner, but not all of it feels important to you. It's not all important. So here are some tips to make it go better. 1, start small. Figure out what little changes you can make to share more with your partner. Maybe send them a quick text about what you're doing when you're apart, or commit to sharing one story from your day with your partner each evening. Just sharing the best and worst thing from your day can help your partner feel more a part of your life. The second tip is find common ground. Is there a hobby or interest that you and your partner both enjoy that you can connect over? Whether it be your children or a new episode of a TV show, finding something you're both passionate about can be a great way to start talking more. The third tip is a similar tip to what I gave someone in the opposite situation, and that's agree to a signal. If you and your partner can work together to agree on a signal that indicates when you're tired of taking a break, that's going to help. The signal doesn't excuse you from the conversation. You should agree on a time to come back to it. But taking a break can be helpful because it allows you to get back into the right mindset and really pay attention rather than getting into fights that you're not listening to your partner. The second pattern is avoiding deeper feelings. Earlier, I mentioned that there are two common patterns that couples get into when they have a lack of communication. The first one is not talking very often. The second one, which I want to talk about now, is avoiding deeper feelings when you do talk. Even if you and your partner talk pretty regularly, sharing the deeper feelings and more private parts of ourselves with our partners can sometimes be challenging. Sharing emotions is difficult to do. When one or both partners struggle to open up and share these vulnerable feelings, it can make the relationship feel surface level or leave you feeling emotionally distanced from your partner. If you and your partner are stuck in this pattern, here are some tips for both of you to improve the problem. First, validate what your partner shares. When your partner opens up to share a hidden emotion with you or shares a deeper feeling, validate it. Thank them for being vulnerable with you. Paraphrase what you heard them say, like when you're in the listener role, as we described in the speaker-listener video if you haven't watched that already. Try your best not to disagree with what your partner's saying or compete with their emotions. For example, saying, "You were sad, well, I was devastated." Every person is entitled to their own feelings. And when your partner shares one of these with you, let them know you understand them, even if you don't agree. The second tip is focus on your sharing. Although it may be easier to wait for your partner to start one of these deep conversations or share a hidden emotion, remember you're working together as a team, and change starts with you. It's okay and even good to let your partner know that you're nervous about sharing. That way your partner can be sure to attend to what you're saying. The third tip is share smart. If you try to start a deep conversation while your partner's cooking dinner, the baby's crying, and the TV's blaring, you probably know from experience it isn't going to go anywhere. Instead, pick a time to have these conversations when both you and your partner can focus on one another. Nothing else. Whether it's early in the morning or in the evening after the kids go to bed, whatever works for you. Pick a time when both of you can focus on one another without any interruptions.